So this week's podcast is all about planning for those launches and campaigns that we have in our minds and how we can do it in a way that we can be way more successful. So grab a pen and paper, stay tuned, listen in, jot down some of those words of advice, and let me know if you like it. Please give me a shout out on any of your podcast platforms that you truly enjoy listening to The Seed on, and stay tuned. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to The Seed, cultivating growth and empowering women in business, brought to you by Dandelion-Inc. I'm your host, Lisa Resnick, and this podcast is all about connecting, developing, and supporting women in business. Join me as we explore tips and insights on leadership, business development, and social media strategies that can help you thrive. We'll also hear from amazing guests who share their stories and experiences, offering inspiration and practical advice for your entrepreneurial journey. So tune in, download, like, and subscribe. And remember, if you love what you hear, share it with others. Together, let's cultivate growth and empower women in business. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, The Seed, with just me, your host, Lisa Resnick. And today we're going to talk about something that is actually super important and exciting for all you entrepreneurs and business owners out there, planning a successful launch or campaign. So it's whether you're rolling out a new product, introducing a service, or kicking off a marketing campaign. Having a rock solid plan is key to making it all come together beautifully. So let's dive in and let's keep it real. And I have to ask everyone out there if you can all be like me. So I am that person all the time when I think about, hey, I have an event and this amazing outfit that I want to wear, and it's like 2 months away, or a vacation. I just recently went to visit the author of the Court series in Clearwater, Florida. So it was all about like, I am going to make sure that I look damn good in a swimsuit. So I knew this at least 4 months in advance, that the date that was selected, that I had to put myself in better shape. Now, in general, I work out about 6 days a week. Sometimes it's 5, depending on my schedule, but I do like to, no matter what, have some sort of motion, some sort of healthy activity. When it comes to my diet, I hate that word diet, but in terms to how I consume my foods, I like to say that I have a pretty healthy balance when it comes to that. I am not so into any of the diet trends out there. I like to try to keep healthy and try to make sure that I eat more whole foods than I do processed foods. So that's just my normal day to day. However, I also know that I could be doing more to be more physically fit. So I had about 4 months until the date, and every time, like a month would go by, and I would say to myself, well, I need to really start working out. I really need to make this happen. And then another month would go by, and I would say, wow, I only have a couple more months left. And in order for me to actually get more toned up, I'm going to really need to start this now. And then a couple of days might follow up, and I may add some weights to my standard routine. And then another month goes by after those weight days have faded away, which I do weights, just not every day. And so then I am now 5 days away from the time in which I'm ready to hop on a plane and head to Florida. Do I really think that Ozempic couldn't even help me now? Like, do I really think that I'm going to drop the pounds and really feel good in that swimsuit within 5 days? I think we all know the answer to that. We all know it. So that mentality, so this is what this is about, is stopping the process and what occurs in our minds that allows us to then have an unsuccessful launch and campaign. I don't care if it's wearing your swimsuit. I don't care if it's a new campaign launch of a product or a new service that you're offering out there. We just have this tendency to not incorporate the planning necessary to make sure that we're feeling good when we're hopping on that plane, heading to Florida, and diving into that bathing suit. So here we go. So definitely take out a pen and paper with this one. There's definitely lots of notes. So number one, which I'm sure you all know, define your goals. So you start off with the big picture. What you want to achieve with this launch or the campaign. It's all about boosting sales, or is it about building brand awareness, or is it about growing your customer base? You need to set clear goals for what your launch or campaign is all about. And then after you do that, you go to your customer avatars and you define who your target audience is. You need to get to know your people, who you're trying to reach, what do they need, what do they love, care about. Understanding your audience helps you tailor your message and strategy to connect with them on so much more of a deeper level. I love creating customer avatars. It is so much fun. And it's just another way for me to add an adjective somewhere, somehow, some way. So the next is, of course, setting your SMART objectives. That's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So, for example, if you are all about increasing sales by 20% in the next 3 months, that gives you a clear target to aim for. So if it is, I want 150 people to sign up for this workshop, that is a clear target that I can work for. Or work towards. The next is developing that strategic plan. So now here we are. We have our goals. We have who our goals are intended to reach. And then we have our specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objectives. So now we come down to conducting the market research. I know this sounds like we're doing our business plans all over again, and it's kind of similar to that. So knowledge is power, friends. So dive into your market, study your competitors, and keep an eye on industry trends. This will help you find those sweet spots where your product and service can absolutely shine. And I just want to warn you, when you're doing that, when you're studying your competitors, don't look at them as your competition, which is odd because you're calling them competitors, but they're not your competition. I don't want your mind to stray into that negative space of what they're doing versus what you're doing, where they're at versus where you're at. You're supposed to be doing it to dive into your market research and learning about industry trends. So that is why knowledge is power. Now, you create a detailed timeline. So this is so essential. What I should have done to make sure that I look good in that swimsuit when I boarded that plane was to say to myself, okay, here's my SMART objective. I want to lose, or not lose, I hate losing. I want to be 10 pounds fitter, because we all know muscle weighs more than fat. So if I converted my fat over to muscle, yes, please. So I want to be fitter by 10 pounds. I want to see more defined muscles in my arms. I want my tummy to be a little bit flatter. So these are my defined objectives. So my audience it's me, because really I want to feel comfortable in the bathing suit on the beach. I really don't care about what anybody else thinks about me in the bathing suit, but I want to feel comfortable in it. So here I am, and now I need to create that timeline. Now, if I know the date in which that I am trying to get to that level, then what I needed to do was back out from that date the things that I needed to do every single day in order to reach that goal. So I clearly did not do that. In my mind, and this is what we all have a habit of doing, in my mind I had this, well, I want to look good for the beach. I need to work at it without actually creating the plan and creating a timeline in order to do it. So of course I was unsuccessful. Still had fun, but I was unsuccessful. Same thing if you're like, I want to increase my products by 20%, you need to be able to detail a timeline. So you have to map out all the steps you need to take from pre-launch to post-launch, include key milestones and deadlines to keep everything on track and moving forward. Then, of course, there's the horrible next level of where we need to consider our budget and our resources. You know what you need to do to make the things happen that you want to happen. You have your outline out there of what your timeline should be. So now you actually need to outline your budget and allocate your resources wisely, whether it's time, money, extra hands on deck. If you did not listen to last week's podcast, please do with Laura Sinclair when we actually do discuss, because I know the biggest question is always marketing dollars spent, especially when you're starting off as an entrepreneur. So listen to that, listen to her beautiful guidance as she tells you about how to build without the money to be able to hit those SMART objectives. So the next thing that you do is jot this down, is crafting your message. So this is my favorite part of anything because it's content creation. And that's when you develop your value proposition about what makes your product or service stand out, why people should choose you. Your proposition should be clear, compelling, and speak directly to your audience's needs. And also, you need to make sure that value proposition is crafted also in a way that translates to your marketing on social platforms as well as Google Ads, everything. So make sure that value proposition is set in a way to be clear, compelling, and speak directly to your audience's needs. And that is how you create. That's your premise of creating your engaging content, because content is queen. Plan and produce content that captivates and engages your audience. Think blog posts, social media updates, videos, emails, anything that tells your story and shares your message. So that is where you need to hone in on your messaging. And then, of course, you need to build that buzz. Generate excitement for that big day. Use teasers, sneak peeks, behind the scene glimpses. Keep it real. I always say that. Actually, a lot of people say that. They'll show you where you start. People will show ourselves where we start off in business, and then we'll show you at our end. But we never show you the mushy gushy of the in-between. So show the mushy gushy, get people involved, invested, and actually be excited. If you're not really into it, that's going to translate. It's going to translate in all the platforms that you're out there pushing what you want to do for your campaign or for your launch. So really be excited about it. I mean, after all, your launches, product or services, should be a part of who you are. This is your baby out there that you're putting out. So be excited about it. Brag about it. It's totally okay. So now we get to the fun stuff, the launch day strategy. It is showtime. So make sure everything is in place for a smooth launch. Coordinate with your team, your partners, any influencers or affiliates. Be ready to respond quickly to any feedback or issues. I know this can be scary, especially with technology potentially going wrong, but you need to be able to be prepared. Try to think of everything that you can of what could go wrong and who is going to be on that sheet in front of you saying who you need to contact in case something happens. And what's your backup plan? I'm a big fan of backup plans, and you just need to be flexible. So engage with your audience. This is where the magic happens of how you respond to comments, answer questions, and you encourage their user-generated content. I mean, this is like, even if you're out there and you're speaking to your audience, you may not want thousands of people shouting out different responses back to you when you ask them the question, but you still want to ask them the question and you still want them to think of what their response is, because this is how you're engaging with them. And then from there, of course, it's the analytics portion where you track and measure. So keep an eye on your numbers, figure out what is working, especially if you're out there marketing, figure out which pieces of content that you put out there and visuals that drove traffic to your website, brought up your conversion rates, brought in more people to reaching your goals, whether again it's that 20% or whether it's that 150 for your workshop. So then you have your post-launch activities. Nobody wants to be just dropped just like that. It's kind of like, even if you're on a job interview, you show up for your job interview. I'm telling you, everybody you've spoken to for that job, and that's basically what you're doing, and you don't do a follow-up thanking them for their time, there's a pretty good chance your conversion's going to be low. So create follow-up campaigns. Keep the momentum going with follow-up activities, retargeting ads, email campaigns, special promotions. These can all help maintain interest and drive further sales. And get feedback from your customers. Collect that feedback to understand their experience and identify areas for improvement. I mean, this is absolutely gold for future launches. And then we evaluate and learn, because everything in life is all about evaluation and learning, because you all know I'm all about self-exploration, self-help, as well as understanding other people. So planning a launch or campaign is all about that preparation, execution, and constant learning. So if I basically would have done what I should have done, everything that I just said there, that I apply to my workshops, launches, that I apply in other areas, which I'm sure there is still room for improvement, but if I would have applied a percentage of what I just said to my trip to Clearwater, I am pretty sure I would have been happier with the results. And I would have known that I worked for it instead of waiting 5 days beforehand. So I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Seed Podcast, Growing Your Business. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with others who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights and tips on achieving your goals. Until next time, keep planting those seeds of success. Thank you, everyone, for listening in to The Seed. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, go to Dandelion-Inc.com and click Let's Connect. And please be sure to subscribe to the Seeds podcast to hear more inspiring stories from other badass women that are all around us. Remember, behind every woman is a tribe of other successful women who have their back. To you all, thank you.